It's going to be 95.
Degrees?
Yes.
On Sunday?
Yeah, sweet.
95 degrees.
Yeah.
I'd ride, but they would charge me $100 at Boundary. So
It's 57 the ride.
That's Boundary. Come on,
And
man.
39.
It's still 43 to walk there. It's insane.
No, 39.
Oh, 39?
Are you complaining?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
So.
Don't start the show with complaints. Yeah.
Oh, I'll cover your round on Sunday because I still owe you some. Yeah, I owe you some.
Thank
money.
you, Ted.
So.
Oh,
next-
that's nice. No, listen. All of our listeners know that you're going to cover my round, so I appreciate that.
Yeah,
so I'm.
Is that a euphemism?
I got to cover the next couple of rounds because I owe you some.
Yeah. Yeah. This is. I love it when Ted will not talk about certain things, but he'll dance around certain things so that we can have that thing that's not said, and then people can be like, "What do you think they're talking about? You think they're talking about drugs or sex? I mean, what are the two things that Ted wouldn't talk about?" Right? I mean, that's all we're really talking about. Is drugs
Or alcohol.
or sex.
Or alcohol.
Alcohol. Why, everyone talks about alcohol. Yeah. We spend most of the shows talking about alcohol. Why would we not talk about alcohol?
Man. Is there a guest today?
Here's a guest today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Ted,
I don't know if you're joking or if you're serious half the time, Ted. But I'm afraid I do know the answer to that. I think you're serious.
I actually thought the guest was like next week.
even though there's a so what you can't see, what you don't see, and all the guests would see and we see, is there is a big board that I have up, and I have had it up for months, for years, over a year, and it's got all the dates. It's got the dates, the times, the guests, what they're doing, and like where they're from. All that stuff. And our guest today, Alana McKenzie Page, has been up there for at least a month.
You know what's funny? I can't stop thinking this. Every time you say the board, I say, put it on the board.
We've already lost him.
That's great.
We've already lost him.
Wimpy?
That's great. But you know we have a guest today.
Yes.
we talked about it last week as well, and we sent emails, and we talked about it on the golf course.
Yeah.
And
I asked her.
We talked about the book.
Yeah, I asked Alana to send. I said I got the book from the library.
Yeah, I read
that email.
I read the email. Yeah. You threw us under the bus.
No, I just said
yeah,
I don't
did.
know
You
if
made
you
us
guys
look like a couple of buffoons. You said my two partners definitely will not read it.
No, they said they definitely won't be able to get it. They don't go to the library. I didn't say you guys can't.
You want me to read it?
Could you give me the briefest synopsis right now? Just the briefest. If you can encapsulate it in just 2 sentences.
Who our guest is?
Wait a minute.
No.
I love that I gave you this book a couple weeks ago. I gave you the book a couple weeks ago.
Hey, can you just do me a solid?
Yeah, I can tell you. Ted, the title is The Art of Feminine Seduction, okay? And you have no questions to ask. You know, you should ask a million questions because you have no idea what the hell it is.
Okay, here you go. Ted, you want to hear this? I got your book. This is from Matt to Alana. Oh. I got your book at the library, but the other 2 idiots haven't been to one since high school.
I knew he was going to throw us under the bus.
Okay, so
he just couldn't
I have a library card, and I have been to the library after high school. In fact, I drop off my mail-in ballot at the librry every year.
Ted,
I just heard about this lady real quick.
Nope.
She went to the book drop at the library.
You went to the library.
And she severed off her finger.
What? So the library's super dangerous.
The doctors say they never seen anything like it. She went to the book drop where that heavy door where you put, she somehow severed off the tip of her finger to avoid the late charge.
I actually saw Ted at
the
library a couple of weeks ago, walking around mumbling, looking for the Dewey Decimal System.
I actually, you know what's funny? I went into the library the other day. I was doing because I told Alana that I got the book on online library. And she asked, is it actually physically in your library? And I said, no. So I told her I would go to my library and look. I got some great ideas, by the way. And I talked to the nicest lady who I said, oh, can I look this book up? And they didn't actually have the physical book in my particular library. But I asked her, I'm like, I need to look at this and that. And she kind of semi-explained in a very coherent way.
How to find it?
Yeah, how to find it and all this stuff. And she gave me all this. It was really great. Super, super nice.
Which one did you go to?
Now,
one on Oakton
let's get back. Yeah, let's get back to this. Ted, when's the last time you were in the library? 8th grade, right?
I took my mom to the library a couple of years ago to have her drop off a book. So I actually physically was near a library.
When's the last time you were inside a library?
Oh, actually, it's funny. I was inside a library at the Skokie Library probably about a few months ago just to drop off my old lady for she was doing some type of seminar or something. So I was actually physically in a library, but I paid no attention to any of the books there whatsoever. But it's a pretty cool place, though. It's big. It's huge.
Okay, so I stand corrected.
The Chicago Public Library is all digitalized.
Yeah, everything I do is digital. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
There you go.
Okay. So Ted, you haven't used a library or checked out a book since you were in 8th grade. 7th grade.
God, I have not had a library card. I mean, everything's online.
You know what you can get at the library, though?
So.
You can get
but you don't read.
free passes for the museums at the library.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool. I mean, libraries are kind of cool. I mean, they're huge. It's a good place. It's almost like the Starbucks without the coffee aspect. You just kind of go there and
they have Starbucks.
you can just
in them.
hang out there for hours and
not my library. My library was me, about 25 people who were 30 to 40 years older than me.
Oh, sounds like your gym.
And then the weirdest
Sounds like your gym.
Yeah, the weirdest collection of like 5 guys in their 20s. I was there at like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Were they making burgers?
I have no idea what they were doing.
Isn't there like the Harold Washington Library? I think a lot of like the homeless people hang out there.
No.
And, or transients, hobos.
I remember
we were hobo-less. Yeah, there was no.
Do you remember the old library downtown?
That's the Harold Washington
I
Library.
never went to the library.
Isn't
No,
that
that's the new library.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I
the
never
old
went to the
library was on Washington and Michigan, between Randolph and Washington. It's now it's a museum. It's the cultural Chicago Cultural
okay.
Historical.
You know what?
Museum.
Can I start the show? Welcome to NPR and Library Talk. Yeah. So.
Well, there's library
today,
science, right? Isn't there a major?
Today, our guest will be someone who's been to every library in the entire state of Illinois and Missouri. Welcome.
Hey man, you started this.
No, I think libraries are cool.
I
they
asked a
got
simple
magazines. They got. I mean, I like the magazine section.
When's the last time you read a magazine?
Oh my god,
You're so full of shit. He hasn't read a magazine. No one reads a magazine.
dude, you were
Look at him.
You were at Borders.
Well,
I love libraries. You got magazines.
Kipling, like
You ever read a
He
magazine?
was at
No.
Borders bookstore just taking shit out. Like,
Kipling-
like he could check it out.
Kipling, like the financial magazine. I used to read that. I used to pick it
Hey,
up.
I got a card.
Just
Yeah,
to
when
see
do I
what
return this?
just see what like the top 10 mutual funds are. Kipling's top 10 mutual funds for 2019, and I would just take a picture on my phone because I didn't want to buy the magazine. And then I research it. Then I would say I'm not buying this
Dude,
shit.
they threw you out.
Oh my
So
god,
fast.
you are the worst person of all time. All right, so man, you guys know this. We suck at geography.
Who's we sucker?
Actually, I'm actually I used to be really good at geography.
Where's Timbuktu?
That's
Isn't
by
that next to
Russia.
Kathmandu?
Yeah.
Where's Kathmandu?
Right by Timbuktu. I mean, it's so obvious, Ted. They're right there. No. So our buddy Pete, who we played golf with on Sunday, and tons of people on social media caught Mark's
Faux pas.
Colorado River empties into the Atlantic Ocean comment and really had some fun with us.
Yeah.
I mean, they really.
Well, they should. It wasn't even like I know where the Atlantic Ocean is. I know where the Pacific Ocean is.
The specific
Right.
ocean.
I also know that the Colorado River does flow south. That was a joke. Nobody said anything. And then when I said Atlantic, nobody corrected me. And I told you what I was thinking. I couldn't remember the Gulf that the Colorado River spilled into, so I was thinking Gulf of Mexico, right? Florida. And when I think of Gulf of Mexico, you think on the other coast of Florida is the Atlantic Ocean. So I said Atlantic, but then I realized it's the Gulf of California. That was too obvious. But
Wait,
that's
there's a
where-
Gulf of California? I
Okay,
never
good.
heard.
Yeah, it's
I
near
never,
the
I
Baja.
never-
See, Ted,
I
you're
never-
so great. I was going to ask
I've
the same
never heard of-
question.
I've
I've
never
never
heard
heard
of
the Gulf of California.
Well, see, I
Is that a thing?
no, it is. Yeah, it's where the Colorado River spills into. But I didn't know that either. I knew it spilled into a Gulf, but I didn't know what it was called. And I kept thinking Gulf, and then I said Atlantic Ocean.
What about an inlet?
Yeah, you're making up geography phrases.
Or what's the other one? That's what's the other? It's like the river.
Peninsula?
Not a peninsula. It's the other one.
I have no idea, Ted. We're not doing this. This whole thing has been
Baja?
so NPR-ish.
Yeah.
And now let's.
And this whole thing is predicated on the fact that I've had time to do some research.
Yeah. Well, that was funny because
But I do know my East Coast from West Coast.
because we do the show, and then the first time, I don't know, was it a Sunday? Mark comes running up to me and he goes, I can't believe you guys didn't correct me when I said Atlantic. And I was like, hey, I don't listen to
I
West
know. I
Coast.
listened to the show and
I
I'm
have
like,
no idea.
I'm like, what a jackass.
well, remember when you were assuming that we're listening to what you're saying?
Boy, that's
Never.
me. That's me. Hang on. I was like, I'm making fun of myself
and
not
not
listening to the show.
Wait, did you send some of those comments in? Because a couple of them were
I probably
very
did.
specific and very mean. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, the guy doesn't know. Well, okay, all of us, we were all singled out, but
That's pretty
I'm
funny.
Like, I'm like, the guy doesn't know. He made a mistake. I mean, I think he knows where the Atlantic Ocean is. Yeah. And they were just like,
It's over by there.
Like, you guys are like supreme idiots, and that name fits. All three of you are idiots because you didn't even know this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, there's lots of shit.
What's the capital of Mongolia?
Well,
I don't know.
and
I
by
don't
the
know
way,
that
you know
either.
what the funny? Nobody said anything about him saying what did you say the capital of Idaho was?
Pocatello.
Pocatello.
I was just like, dude, that's crazy. It's funny.
Oh yeah, nobody
What's the
gave
capital?
you any props
What's
for
the
that.
capital of
It's
Vermont?
Boise. It's Boise.
It's probably
the most,
Boise.
It's most
Oh.
obvious. No, not
What's the capital of Vermont?
Boise. It's also
Montpelier.
Oh, I thought it was Burlington. Majority is Montpelier.
I have no idea. That's the first thing that came to my idea. Okay, quick update because we got to get rolling here and get to Teddy's tip. A quick update. You remember that cop we talked about who arrested the 10-year-old for peeing in public in Mississippi?
Yeah, I think he got
coming on the show.
He got relieved of duty. Pardon the pun.
No, he's not coming on the show.
He
does have free time though. Yeah, he got fired. And I guess there's a bunch of guys. I guess they're doing this whole thing where like there's a bunch of people who didn't say, Pete, are you out of your fucking mind? You just arrested a 10-year-old. So there's a bunch of people. I think there's going to be a lot of people who get in trouble for this.
There's something wrong with that cop, though.
Yeah.
It's
when you arrest a 10-year-old.
It's not. How did he pass the psych exam? It's just, you got to use some humanity here and talk to people, right? Sometimes. Hey, but, like you said.
Well,
True or false? Everyone is a criminal, even if they're 7.
Technically, I guess like urinating in public is technically like public indecency.
There has to be more to that story.
I know, but I'm just saying like you can get cited for that technically, right?
But
was he flipping the
Ted,
cop off as he was
Ted, if I change my kid's diaper,
yeah,
and somebody walks by and sees a toddler's penis, it's not indecent exposure. I mean, there's a limit to what you can do, man. It's like common sense. Yeah. So he gone, man.
Well, it's funny because in other countries, I mean, public urination is actually pretty common because there's not a lot of public. Like I was in I was in.
What country?
I was in.
What country did you just walk around and piss?
I was in Southeast Asia years ago, and people would just pull off to the side of the road and just pee right there openly, like on the side of the road. No big deal. Kids walking around naked. Because it's a third world country. They're just walking around. There's like tents and lean-tos and huts and stuff like that. So.
Like children or like
adults and children,
teenagers?
Yeah. I mean,
naked teenagers all over the place.
Just naked people in general, like not all over the place. But I mean, but
no, it is.
It's just a different culture out there. Come on, like stuff that we think is like wow, this is crazy, but it's pretty common. So it just depends on the social norms.
I'm naked almost all the time.
Yeah,
I'm actually thinking
you're naked under those clothes right now.
Yeah, I put in a bid for like a 14th floor condo downtown in Chicago, it's just one room, one window, just so I can walk around
14th
naked.
14th floor? Everyone's going to be looking down on you.
Well, yeah. I want people like lower and higher. I want everybody to see.
Maybe right in the middle.
Yeah, I said all I need is a big window, and I need a sun not to hit that window so that people can see me and the glare doesn't keep it from.
Are you going to make the windows like magnetize you?
What do you mean, like slap me against the window?
Not magnetize you, like.
We're gonna get some. Forget it. We're gonna get some calls on this. I don't want that. No. I thought it'd be fun. I thought it'd be fun to be another naked guy, just to give somebody something to do. I mean, think about how many lives I can make better by giving them the opportunity to see me naked and journal it, pictures.
Magnify is the word I was looking for.
Oh, magnify. Ooh.
Did you say magnadoodle?
That would, that'd be really interesting. I like the concept of that.
I actually like it magnetized better.
Magnetize?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. It could magnetize me and magnify me. Ooh.
Speaking of magnetized.
What?
When's Bibic coming on?
Oh, man, we haven't talked.
Oh, man.
We haven't talked. Okay, and I want to let everybody know that we're going to have 2 new segments that we're going to do on days when we don't have guests, because it's going to take a while. One is Mark's Movies.
I've changed my mind. I don't want to put myself out there anymore for the listeners.
Why?
I don't want to be a target, man.
Well, a lot of things they say are nice. I mean, some of the things they say are nice.
But the more
we're gonna do some movie talk.
But the more haters you have, that means you're doing something right. Just look at Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
Don't look at her. Don't. She is.
Well,
evil.
I mean, just like a mirror. Like the Gorgon, like the Medusa. Don't look at her directly. Just look at the side, or else she'll turn to stone.
Does the mirror work?
Well,
so, yeah, you're supposed.
So the Greek myth
is see her through a reflection.
The Greek myth is like you can't look at Medusa directly; you'll turn to stone. But if you look at through a mirror, like Clash of the Titans, you won't turn to stone. Yeah. So
they had mirrors back then.
Well, I mean, you can
like
polish
a shield,
polish a stone.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll do
sunglasses.
Mark's.
They had like still,
Yeah, we'll do Mark's movies, and then Mark will tell us about a movie he's seen because he's seen a lot of them, and he actually likes things. I don't really like any movies.
You've decided you're not going to watch any movies anymore.
No, I'm going to watch
declaration.
Movies.
I'm never watching a movie.
I'm just trying to think of a movie that's like interesting.
Trying, man.
Interesting.
I'm trying. I watched the first 15 minutes of The Flash.
There's a lot of good movies out there.
Was that what that Ezra? Was that what that Ezra guy who's kind of crazy?
Yeah, it's hard to watch now. I like the movie. It's hard to watch because he's so crazy. excuse me, that he just it's weird now. I don't know why, but it's really weird.
I want to see the Flash.
Yeah, and then we're going to have a new segment that Ted will be the star of, and Ted, you're pretty excited about this. It's called Mr. Poison.
Well, I don't want to get a cease and desist letter from the FBI, so maybe that's not a good idea.
No. I've got a disclaimer and everything for you, but yeah, Ted will, because a lot of listeners ask poison-related questions, and I haven't figured out what to do with them. So now I have them.
Is this part of his performance improvement plan?
Yeah, part of it. Yeah, if he doesn't do well on these, he's out.
It sounds like it is. Yeah.
Ted, you are gone, man. You son of a bitch. We'll kick your ass to the curb so fast. Yeah, we'll have we were replacing. We'll go around and we'll just go like to homeless encampments and mental institutions and find. Yeah, I could be Ted. Yeah, I know you can, sir.
You're going to San Francisco?
Yeah. Take off your tinfoil hat though; it'll get in the way of the headphones. All right, so let's get this thing started because we got a guest on. She's going to be on, and I don't want to. I want to spend as much time with her as we possibly can because Mark and I read her book.
Can you debrief me on just like the theme of it, like
Ted,
it like
the title is The Art of Feminine Seduction.
But it's so how to like attract a man, like a woman attracting a man, or keeping a man, or just...
All right, let's start the show.
Some of those things, Ted.
She's going to be on.
This is going to be great. You know what's even better? I literally told her that I was going to send this out and that you had no chance of ever reading this book, and you would ask the most insane, ridiculous questions. And she said, "Bring it on, man. Bring it on." So,
well, I might know something she don't know, but I'm not going to tell her.
You're right, Ted. She's got a dating site. She's an intimacy and dating coach, and she's got a dating site, and she wrote a book. And I'm sure you are just going to dazzle her with your knowledge. I literally cannot wait. I wish I could fast forward right now. You know what?
She probably knows more.
You know what? Everybody who's listening, just fast forward. Okay? I'll fast forward to like 7 o'clock, and you guys will be good. All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Matt, and this is the Real Three Idiots podcast. With me, as always, is a man I will not let drive a golf cart, but is now the proud owner of a crank driver that he actually used on every hole when we golfed on Sunday. Every hole.
And his name is
Ted.
That was an epiphany. That's the first time I've ever used a driver from first hole to 18, no matter what. I committed to that. And it wasn't just because I had an automatic 3-shot lead going into the round with a little cushion. I just...
Again, you didn't have a 3-shot lead. You had a 3-hole lead.
Oh, well, in my mind, I felt like I was invincible. But it felt pretty good to get out there and put on my big boy pants and,
Yeah. And a man, and a man who uses super presses like Joe Biden uses Post-it notes on all the doors in the Oval Office so he can find the exit. Mark.
I'll super press that. I'm on a roll, man.
You're like a daredevil.
Yeah, you are losing constantly. Yeah.
You know what? It's so stupid for me to super press on that hole.
It was stupid.
On the 18th hole, it's ridiculous.
Except you had a chance.
I know. I still could have. Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, but you would have had to get it. Yeah,
I still like that 3-wood in your hand, though. Just
all right, Teddy.
Club.
I think somewhere in here I have. Oh man, did I leave my?
That's what cost me the round, Ted. Is that 3-wood?
Hold on. I gotta.
No one told you to use it.
I know.
I gotta get my.
All right, Matt. We'll see you later. All right, Ted. This is our opportunity, dude. Let's take over the show. So.
If I was your caddy, I would have recommended a 6-iron.
Matt has just left the show. So Ted and I are going to take this up.
Oh, he's back now.
No, I didn't take our sponsor off the printer.
He wasn't gone long enough.
I'm a busy guy, dude.
We almost ran you off the show.
It'd be great.
We almost Wally pipped him.
You know, it would have been great if
we almost Wally pipped him.
He would have tripped, hit his head on that pillow right there, and knocked out. And we had to carry the show the rest of the way.
What do you think? He's okay?
And
it doesn't matter.
Matt dreams the show, and then he wakes up and he's like, "What happened?" We're like, "Nothing, dude. We're ready to start."
Matt, we just had the highest ranked show out of all of them. The common factor was you weren't talking. You weren't there.
It's so funny. I really like it. Okay, let's do it. If you're like me, you are always on the go, and oftentimes you don't have the time for a nice meal. And by nice meal, I mean a nice, big, juicy hunk of meat. A steak, a pork chop, or a perfectly grilled turkey leg. Well, those problems are other people's problems. Because thanks to the folks at Drinking Your Dinner, you can have any delicious cut of meat you love without the hassle of cooking, seasoning, or keeping them refrigerated. Drinking Your Dinner has taken all the deliciousness of a perfectly cooked piece of meat and put it in liquid form. That's right. You can now drink your dinner, lunch, or breakfast. Just pop open a bottle of T-bone steak, chicken marsala, or one of our scrumptious half-inch thick pork chops. But don't worry, You don't need a knife and a fork. You can get all the delicious taste and texture in an easy-to-drink liquid. Drink Your Dinner comes in 3 sizes so you can chow down without the hassle of a table and a plate. Go to drinkyourdinner.com and you'll always have a nice, thick piece of meat right in your hand.
That's a different way.
A lot of ways to interpret
that's
that.
That's a different way to drink your dinner.
I thought you were going to say sing for your supper. I thought you were going to.
No, usually when I say drink your dinner, I'm just having booze.
Well,
That's what I'm thinking. That was meat.
Oh.
Yes, it's awesome.
Put meat in a blender.
Hitting a hooch.
All right, Mark, let's hear that awesome song.
Oh, don't set me up, man. Teddy is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a good friend of mine. But lately Teddy's changed. His tips are hard to define. Teddy's got himself a tip, man. I want to make it mine. And he's tipping them with those lies. And he's loving it with that euro, I just know it. Yeah, he's holding his tips in his arms late at night. You know, I wish that I had Teddy's tips. I wish that I had Teddy's tips. Where can I find a tipper like that?
Like Teddy's tips.
Ted dreams to tip in a parade. There doesn't seem to be a reason he can't. You know, we feel so lucky when he starts drinking hooch. I want to tell him that it's empty, but the point is probably moot. 'Cause he's tipping them with those lies. And he's loving it with that euro, I just know it. Yeah, he's holding his tips in his arms late at night. You know, I wish I had Teddy's tips. I wish I had Teddy's tips. Where can I find a tipper like that, like Teddy's tips? Teddy.
Oh, man.
Doesn't Rick Springfield still look good? I mean, I always get him confused with Rob Lowe a little bit.
This is the third time we talked about this.
You know what?
He still looks good. I mean, I
does
don't know
look
if he had
good.
plastic surgery or not, but he looks good.
I saw him in
Why-
concert
why?
at Joe's on Weed
We
Street.
don't have to comment on everybody's body, Ted. Okay.
Like you do with Rhino Reynolds. That's different.
I mean,
that's different. Okay,
It's different. Don't compare Ryan Reynolds.
I just have to say about Rick Springfield. I saw him in concert at Joe's on Weed Street.
Yeah.
He was doing this tour to raise awareness
Yeah.
for domestic violence.
Yeah. How old is he now?
He's like
There's tons
70.
of domestic violence. I don't think we need any more.
No, he was raising awareness or something like this. And 2 weeks later, I shit you not, he got arrested for beating his wife.
No, come on.
on.
Look it up. And then she later dropped the charges and everything was dismissed. But that is the definition of irony. He's touring around the country on this whole thing, and he got arrested like 2 or 3 weeks after he left Chicago after we saw the show.
I'm sure it was a
He
misunderstanding.
couldn't make that up.
It was a misunderstanding.
But
that is one
that
of the
dude,
funniest
you know what
things
people
I
don't know
have
about
ever
him
heard.
is
What's that?
he is a phenomenal guitar player. I mean, like
yeah. Oh,
off
sure.
the charts,
Yeah.
like fucking like ridiculous.
Really?
Yes, I'm not making that up.
Yeah, it's
He
hard
is
to get over that
literally
other
like-
thing now, though.
Yeah, I know.
if he goes around talking about something else and he gets caught doing it, I don't like the concept.
Dude, it was
of that.
crazy.
All right, Teddy, are you ready for your tip?
Do I have a choice?
You do have a choice.
I'm ready then.
Okay. But
You
you have
want me
no
to read it, Matt?
choice. Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to do that thing where I read the tip to you, Ted, so you don't have to just read it to yourself. Okay. Hey, Ted.
Ted.
Oh,
Are you going to read?
You can
read
I
it?
was
Switch
just
off,
joking, no,
switch off sentences.
Okay.
Or-
Hey, Ted, my name is Amanda from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm 38 and I just broke up with my boyfriend and I need to make a few changes in my life. I want to start exercising and I need some advice to get started. Just to add a little more information, because you always say you need more, I need to lose about 60 pounds. I've never done any real exercising before on a regular basis. The reason I'm asking you is you seem to persevere through all the grief that Matt and Mark give you each week, and you keep laughing and plugging away. I need some motivation to fight through the hard parts.
Well, Amanda, to answer the second part of your question, I'm actually legally deaf, so I actually cannot hear what they say. So I just hear them moving their mouth and or maybe I'm
Ted,
just
you're
so
legally
good,
dumb,
or maybe
not
I'm just
deaf.
maybe I'm just so good at ignoring them.
No, Ted is deaf and dumb. He can talk, though.
So, Amanda, hey, congratulations on your weight loss journey. Even though I'm not a certified fitness trainer and haven't been to the gym in years, I think, give you some decent advice to get you started. So, as we all know, diet is probably about 60 to 70% of weight loss, and exercise is about 30%. And actually, the funny thing, I just read this the other day. So, a lot of obesity in the country, and as you probably know, the United States has the highest obesity rate in the world. At about 40%.
Our way to go, America.
Salt, excessive salt or sodium intake plus dehydration, aka lack of water, activates what's called like a survival mechanism in your body that makes you store fat excessively. So high fructose corn syrup, which comes from processed
Worst
foods like
shit
white bread
on the planet.
Yeah, so white bread, cereal, granola bars, that high fructose stores fat. So so obviously you want to cut those out. So if you want to supercharge your weight loss, and 60 pounds, that's a good amount of weight to lose. So what I would recommend,
Please say euro.
I would recommend this. So for the first week or two, here's what you're going to do. You're going to drink, and it's going to be physically hard to do this because weight loss isn't easy.
As much beer as possible.
No.
Oh.
You're going to try to drink a gallon of water a day.
That is such bullshit.
Listen, a gallon of water a day, plus you're going to eat the leanest, driest proteins, turkey or tuna. That's it. If possible. I mean, it's going to be tough to do, but if you could do that, you will basically reset your system. And then in terms of working out, here's what you're not going to do. Don't do cardio. Do not do the treadmill. That is like the worst exercise. It doesn't do anything for you. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to do squat, deadlift, anything with your legs, anything with your quads, your
Ted,
glutes.
She hasn't worked out. Hold on. She hasn't seriously worked out. You think she's good? You can't tell somebody to do squats and deadlifts.
Or just anything with the legs. You could,
that's like, you know what? But after that, do some brain surgery, and then I want you to build a house.
Okay.
Because
Gain weight. She's going to gain
Ted,
so much muscle.
but here's
in her
what-
legs.
here's what-
no,
here's
she's
what
not going to do it properly. You know how bad you can hurt yourself squatting and deadlifting?
I'm just saying. I'm not saying take it a 300 squat 300 pounds like a front squat. I'm saying just take like 10-pound dumbbells and or use a body weight squat or a light kettlebell. But I'm just saying the legs are the most neglected part in the gym. So if you ever go to the gym, just look at this. Look what everybody does and what they don't do. Everybody's everybody bench presses, right? Everybody's doing shoulders and biceps, which is like the smallest muscles in the body. What you're gonna do? Oh, sun's out, guns out. But what you're gonna do, and you don't even need a squat rack for this. You're gonna try to do like a front squat, a deadlift. Yeah, I'm not saying
Just don't do a back squat.
I'm not saying do like be like an Olympic power lifter. I'm just saying, but anything with the legs because the fat,
don't start out as an. Listen, if you've
Wait,
never
is
worked
this
out
your
before,
tip? Don't skip leg day.
don't skip leg.
because the fat burn from a good leg workout is going to be residual. And what that means is it's going to last for hours, if not a couple of days beyond that. Because if you just run on a treadmill for 40 minutes or an hour, guess what? You're going to just lift. You're going to raise your heart rate, and as soon as you get off that treadmill after 40 minutes, you're not going to lose any weight. You're not going to burn any fat by that. But with a leg workout, you will definitely burn. You will be burning fat long after that workout's over.
Is this where I make fun of you, Ted? Is this the part where I make
Is
fun
there
of
a
you?
part
Because
two
I
to this,
feel
Ted?
like
What else?
Now,
go ahead.
so my last part is now
Assuming.
Amanda, after you get your revenge body, which I'm sure you're aiming for, you're going to have a lot of more power and a lot more options than you probably had before. So I'm just saying use that wisely. And you know what I mean by that. So.
Whoa, okay. You know what? This is a perfect segue. This is a perfect segue for our guest, Alana.
Alana, help us, please.
Yeah, you heard that. You heard that.
Deep down, she's high-fiving me for that one. You know she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
She's high-fiving.
Did anything
Yeah,
he
she
said
knows
make
that.
any sense to you whatsoever?
Perfect sense.
A lot of it did make sense. I used to work in a weight loss clinic, and a lot of it did make sense.
Thank you.
Okay,
I-
that is
I-
not what I expected to hear.
But I am with you. I wouldn't just start with like some intense working out
No,
for someone
of course
who's
not.
never worked
Of course,
out.
yeah, but I'm saying not with heavy weights. But
No,
I'm saying, but at least focus on that body part because that body part is the one that's the most neglected, and that's the one that's the foundation for everything. I mean, yeah, we all want to have that good, the toned arms and everything. I get it, but that's the foundation, and that's where because those are the big muscles in your body, right? The glutes, the quads. Right?
Do you even know what any of those parts are? If I brought out Ted, if I brought out a dummy and I said point the glutes, would yeah,
what about the
what
utes?
would you
I would point
point
at
at?
the utes.
Yeah.
The utes.
Oh my God! All right.
Good luck, Amanda.
Yes.
In your future endeavors.
Oh man, yeah, really good luck.
Just
And
lost
Amanda,
another- lost
if
another
you
listener.
really want some help, just email me and I will give you an actual real workout. Okay.
And in about 15 years, you might achieve that goal, or you could achieve it in 6 months.
6 months of deadlifts? Oh my God!
And front squats.
This is so awesome. So you know what? I'm going to introduce our guest, and then I'm going to tell her something that she already knows, and she's going to laugh about it, and then we can move on. Okay, our guest this week is Alana McKenzie Page. She is not only a dating and intimacy coach, and you can find her at sovereigndating.com, but she is the author of an awesome book that we're going to talk about called The Art of Feminine Seduction. Alana, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
All
Great
right.
way to get started.
Yes.
All right, and Alana, I got good news. I got good news. A couple of people that you are talking to right now read your book, and you're also
Most of
talking
it.
to Ted.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Ted, Great to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post read your book after this is over. Because I am interested in what it has to say.
Well, I'm sure a lot of our listeners will read the book after.
No,
just like you.
Well,
Ted.
here, I'm just gonna say this up front, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So I just know this: the dating industry in general is a multi-billion-dollar business, right? We can all agree on that. With all these apps out there. Here's the thing: there's no magic formula because we don't know what attracts people to other people, right? There's no winning formula, right? If there was like a formula, you would just have it.
Actually, that's absolutely untrue, and Alana's here to tell us about it.
A lot of that's in her book. That's actually a good segue. No, Ted, what you're saying is I think probably a lot of people believe that. But after reading some of Alana's book, I think you're going to feel differently.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So Alana, really quick, what's the give us, because Ted really needs to know this, but what's the short version of The Art of Feminine Seduction? What's this thing about?
Oh, God. Short version. Okay. So what I discovered is that it's not magic. So great question, Ted. It's not just magic. Attraction isn't just like, oh, I don't know how I got so lucky. Wow. It's actually kind of a scientific process. And part of the billions of dollars that have gone into the dating industry have been research about how this happens. And now dating apps are getting involved in the research. So it is just blowing up. But essentially, the research I did was based on, we could say, psychology and evolutionary biology and kind of this also weird ancient philosophy of like Tantra, for example. And so the feminine in my system refers to the energetic feminine, which comes from Tantric philosophy. And then the seduction part is what I call my process for creating love, creating attraction, which is based on the science of how attraction happens rather than just hoping for good luck and magically coming across your soulmate on a computer.
Oh, there's a trigger word, soulmate. We'll get to that later.
Okay,
Trigger word.
All right.
That's
so
a
Alana, this book isn't really just for a guy to read and kind of learn how to properly or even to get an idea of how to seduce a woman, but it seems like it's also kind of like a primer for women to understand that they're kind of the captain of the ship. And they there's ways that they can get what they want from guys. Is that like a two-part deal that it is?
I mean, it's actually a book for women to create relationship with men. So
right, but a
women
guy would
to
yeah,
attract
but
men.
wouldn't it be smart for a guy to read that and kind of understand how women are like approaching relationships? Because I feel like and I'll say this, and I think this is true. Guys are stupid.
You're a sneaky bastard,
Yeah,
man.
guys are
You would
stupid,
take
and
this
if they
book
don't
and use
have
it to
that-
your advantage when it's not made for you.
Not for my advantage, but couldn't a guy use this and both ends and make it easier for them?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the issue is just like men and women come at it from such different angles and neither one really understands. I mean, I can just talk about my personal experience. How about that? I always assumed that men were looking for what I was looking for. And so I would date like, trying to prove that I was a great catch, right? Like they should obviously know that I'm intelligent and fun to be around, and they should really get that like I would be chill too, right? Like I was that low maintenance girl. Like I was really trying to prove all of my like worthiness of like this is what a man wants, right? Without actually finding out what like the person I was dating really wanted.
Yeah.
and then like connecting over that, I was always in this place of like I gotta like show him that I'm the best girlfriend material possible. And that was just a terrible way to date. Like that's just the worst. But so many people are dating like that. Men and women are just out there being like, I'm just gonna, I gotta do this. Maybe even the gym stuff, right? It's like, I gotta like get a 6-pack. My husband's on the 6-pack trail right now. So that's in my mind right now. I'm like, I do not care about your 6-pack. But many men really feel like they need to do certain things to get like properly in the game. Women, same thing. Sometimes these things are different. And we're actually not even focused on like, oh, here's this person across from me. What do they want? We just get in our head and we play so many games about what makes us attractive. Like what makes us attractive?
Why do you think people on the dating circuit do that? Like, what is it it could be one of two things, right? Is it because they're really, really, really wanting to be in a long-term relationship, or is it because I don't know why do they do that?
Well, we could like get really meta about it and be like, dating and like sex is your survival. Like that's the survival of your genes. So it's pretty intense for people, and people tend to get immediately really crazy about dating. Like honestly, you like go right away. You just meet someone and then you feel like you're in love with them, right? You just meet someone and then you feel really dependent on how much they like you. Like you need to be attractive to people. It's very intense. Like people are very emotional about
Yeah.
it, and I think it links back to that very like primal need to be like thought of as great and attractive and worthy.
So it's more than just desperation. It's actually like subconscious. It's like really happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a friend thing too, right? I mean, like if you're out with your friends, or you're out with people, you'd like people to, especially when you meet new people, you'd like them to like you, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, everybody likes
Exactly.
flattery. Everybody likes attention and flattery to some degree. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be a narcissist, but I mean, we all, unless you're completely antisocial, we all like attention and flattery to some degree, even if we pretend we don't. You know,
Totally.
whether
yeah.
it's a guy or a woman. You know, I mean, just we want to
Yeah.
be accepted in our social group. You know, but here's the thing too: attraction is subjective. You know, just like comedy is subjective. I mean, what one guy finds attractive, like there could be a classically attractive like actress, for example, that we might agree that she's attractive, but I'm not necessarily attracted to her, and there might be a woman who maybe some guys might find less than physically desirable, but I might desire her. So
Yep,
that's
totally.
the secret sauce. We don't really know what attractive subjective.
And Alana, you in your book, you talked a lot about that, where as you were growing up and you were kind of becoming a woman, getting older, that you found it's you said at times you found it impossible to even think that people would find you attractive, right? I mean, you had that kind of issues. So how do you get through that?
Well, I personally moved to an Eastern European country where they told me I was beautiful. But
And it's cultural too. It's cultural, yeah. So like,
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
attractive in one culture might not be attractive in another culture. You know, I
Yes.
mean,
In America, nobody ever told me I was beautiful.
Mhm.
I was in my mid-20s. I moved out of the country, and all of a sudden, like random people who I just met. I was a teacher, I was a corporate trainer, I guess. So I was like in classrooms in companies with like adults, and people would just say to me, they just met me, they'd be like, "Wow, you're beautiful." And I was like, "What is happening to me?"
that's flattering. That's
So
flattering when you get that.
So
yeah,
why
it
is
was
America
great.
different? I mean, did you kind of, as you're doing this, did you see like why are guys in America not understanding this, and guys in the Eastern Bloc understanding that? What was the difference?
Well, to be clear, many of the people calling me beautiful were women. Like
That's what
it
I was going to
wasn't
say.
it,
That I think it goes both ways. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, in
It
America,
was
I mean,
it's just like open, like it's
yeah,
just open. In America, we don't really like recognize that. I think there are a lot of reasons. There are a lot of reasons for that. One thing I would say is probably the influence of Hollywood, and we really think that there's just like this one vision of female beauty currently. I think it's changing. Like I think it's changing slowly, more recently, like in the last 10 years. But like the classic Hollywood attractiveness has been kind of like
yeah, for
pretty
sure.
boxed in. And then we have like all this, we have a bunch of weird stuff about beauty because we're so into it. It's like this taboo too. Like it's weird if somebody like just a stranger tells you you're beautiful. Like people are weird about it.
I could see
Yeah.
that.
So,
I could see where people like going up to people. Like I talk to everybody. Everywhere I
mhm.
go, I mean, I'm sure people are just like, "Wow, that guy was fucking nuts, man. I wish he would go away. I'm glad he left." But I talk to everybody about the craziest things in the world, and I think that people are just you kind of get nervous about that, and you just kind of got to loosen up. I feel like everybody's
Yeah.
afraid to say anything.
But but Matt thinks it's his job to do that. So it's Matt's job in public to loosen everybody up. That's. I mean, listen. It's sometimes it's over the top.
It is. I like
Yeah,
to say the thing that
I know,
no one.
but-
I like to go someplace and say the thing that no one else will say.
I know.
Right, and then
That's
have
why you
everybody go
think
like
that's
this.
your job.
Oh man, that was crazy. No normal person would say that, and I'd be like, yeah, okay.
So here's the thing. So over time, the standards of beauty have changed. So for example, back in the 1800s, if a woman was overweight, that was considered beautiful because if you were overweight, that means you had plenty of you were well fed because most people were poor.
Yeah.
So someone who was overweight was considered attractive. say in the 15th, 16th century, where in the 70s maybe super skinny like Twiggy, the model in the 70s, was considered attractive, and now so standards of beauty change over time, just like it changes culturally, you know.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
you know, so
Yeah.
So-
I read in a book, what book was that? It was about like the beginning of the thin standard for beauty for women was based on like wealthier men could have wives who didn't do anything. So it meant that you were really rich if you were so weak you couldn't move. And so that's like where being really
yeah,
thin
I mean
came
that's a
from.
valid thing. That's a valid. I've never heard of that one specifically, but yeah, I mean that's you know.
Is that like fat guy, like guys who are wealthy and fat? Like they're that kind of proves that they're wealthy, that they can be so fat and it just doesn't matter. They can do
Just doesn't
anything.
matter.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we talked about this several episodes ago. They said like if we had $2 billion as a guy, if we had $1 billion, we could pretty much have a woman of age, not like underage, but like legally, basically any woman you basically wanted, because your options are wide open. Your options are wide open. I mean,
Yeah.
she might not
Yeah.
like you necessarily physically, but you can definitely
Yeah.
meet a woman
But,
who.
but let's
you
focus on
otherwise-
actual. Let's focus on
sure.
actual like
like a normal person.
people-
All right, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
here, hang on. I want to read. I want to read something from your book because this is really interesting. So in chapter 6, shift to physical. So this is the opening paragraph, and I think it's awesome. But you got to explain it because it's
Okay.
so. You say feminine energy is grounded in the physical. It is centered in the body. Masculine energy is mental. It's centered in the head. Shifting from masculine to feminine energy requires one thing: get out of your head. So feminine energy and masculine energy.
Okay. Which part do you want me to get into?
Well,
let's
Is
go with
it-
feminine
is-
energy
yeah,
because
yeah.
I mean guys have it. It's not a gender thing. It's not a man thing. So
Right.
start with feminine
Yeah.
energy.
Okay, so the idea is feminine energy is the energy that's basically inside of you. So it's everything that has to do with your internal state, right? So that's why it's your body too. It's everything that's going on inside your body. Like the somatic, I don't know if you've heard of that word, but it's like if you just sit there with your body, all that meditation stuff is like, how is my body doing? Like how am I internally, physically? Then the masculine is everything that's external. It's everything that moves away. And you can think of like force, right? Like direction. I mean, what you can really think about is what's your podcast rated?
right. No, you could say anything.
Yeah, you can
Okay,
say
cool.
any words you want.
Awesome. So it's based on how humans procreate, right? So the female role in procreation is to receive the sperm and create a being, like create new life inside. Basically, just by being a woman, you can create life.
Right.
For men, right? So the masculine is you got to shoot the sperm. So it's all about the outward energy, right? It's everything that's moving away from you. So that is the mental. Then it's all of your thoughts like out here floating around in the like you don't even really know
Yeah.
where thoughts are, right? It's just out there. And one of the things people do when they're dating is they don't take their body into consideration internally because, like what we've just been talking about, people are so focused on what they look like outside of themselves, they forget the internal experience of being themselves with another person. And actually, your body will give you so much information about how you feel about the other person, whether you're comfortable with them, whether you're having a good time or actually not a good time, like whether your nervousness is really overblown, like it's too much, or if it's kind of good butterflies, we could say, like good nervousness.
Yeah.
And people forget about that, the feminine, right? They forget about the internal experience of being with someone else because we're just so caught up in our crazy thinking, in our crazy mental, emotional, mental space.
I could see that. All right, let me ask you this: Is it? And this is kind of weird. It's going to sound weird, but is self-love necessary before you can love someone else or have them love you? I mean, do you have to say like I'm a worthy catch, like I'm good for somebody, no matter who you are or whatever? Do you have to say to yourself, you know what, I'm worthy of someone treating me nice before you can actually find someone to do that?
I think it's good to be able to say that. I don't personally believe in like self-love as a stagnant state of being. So I think you just have to at least have the awareness of like, I deserve to be treated well, right? I deserve to be loved. I deserve to have someone think I'm attractive or fun or interesting or whatever it is for you. And I mean, I want to give you a straightforward answer, like, yeah, we all need self-love. And I I think yes, it's important, and I don't know if anybody loves themselves all the time.
But it's
And I
also
don't
a
think,
process, right?
yeah,
It's a learned process, and a lot of people learn to love themselves after they meet somebody
yep,
because they could see
totally.
somebody else appreciates them, and then it makes it easier for you to appreciate yourself. I mean,
Yep,
I know people that are kind of like that.
absolutely. Like, I don't know if there are rules, like, oh,
Right.
you have to have this.
Okay, okay, no, I like that. All right, so you talk about a woman being a seductress, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the big things. When you talk about that, do people sometimes confuse seductress with like, and we talk about a woman because like being slutty? I mean, it has those two things have nothing to do with each
Or
other.
a temptress.
It can be complete like it doesn't have to have anything to do with sex. Being a seductress, right?
Yeah. It has a lot of negative connotation, and that's why I wanted to use it.
Nice.
Okay, so what's the positive part of it?
Um, for me, it was about like reclaiming that sexual power. Like for women, often if you don't feel attractive or if you weren't raised to like really believe you had a lot of sexual power, you're just like, oh, that's not safe, that's not good. I don't want to be like I don't want to be like one of those women, you know what I mean? But actually there's this incredible power in just being like, I'm hot and I can get what I want sexually. Like I think that more women should have that. Like that's one of my goals. Like I think more women should have confidence, honestly.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah,
what it
no,
is. Like this confidence to just be like, I want that.
yeah, men
Let
and
me
women.
go get it.
So I have a funny story. It might not mean anything, but so I remember I think I told these guys this a while ago. So I remember I was driving down the expressway where we live, and there's a billboard and it's advertising. I don't know if it's like the Sybaris or something. I don't know if it was like whatever it was.
Sybaris is a place you go to
So, yeah.
for a liaison
Romantic
with a
tryst.
woman.
Yeah.
They're
So,
nationwide.
so long story short, there's a female model and a male model on the billboard, and the guy's got his shirt off, and the woman, and they're trying to look so sexy. And I just remember it was just so they tried so hard. I started laughing out loud because it was so over the
Yeah.
top. Absurd to me that they had that smoldering like look like this, and it was just like I started laughing. But then I
Yeah.
could see some women, and they're not even trying to look sexy. And it's like, oh yeah, that woman's
Yeah.
got the secret sauce. Or so that's
Yeah.
that's why it's all very subjective. I mean, like a woman who goes out of her way to look attractive, say on a dating app, I might look at her and say, oh, she's all right looking. But then there could be a woman who just looks like she's not doing anything. It's like, oh yeah. So I mean, it's just we don't really know. That goes back to my original point. It's just on an individual basis. So there's no. You could do things to put you in the right direction and give yourself the best chance, but I don't think there's a winning formula, So there's not one specific thing you can do. So
So there's not a way to force a specific person to fall in love with you.
Right.
That's absolutely true. Because it is so, I mean, there are just so many factors,
Well,
right?
we are going to have a hypnotist on the show.
Ooh,
So-
I heard you can't hypnonize an idiot.
Moron.
Or I thought
Moron.
I'm a Moran.
He can hypnotize idiots.
What about a
not
Moran?
morons.
What about a Moran?
Go, Alana, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We'll get at this later.
Oh no, that's good. I would love to hear more about this hypnotherapist.
All right. So when you're doing this, and this is one of the things I got from your book, you share a lot of personal experiences, right? I mean, a lot. I know
Well, you start
in
off
your
that
book,
way. It's like,
yeah,
holy crap.
yeah. It's
preface is like-
it's pretty intense. So
I didn't mean to do that.
Oh no! When you're married now,
It sells. It sells.
Yeah.
So.
When your husband said you finished the book and he asked to read it, did you tell him no, or did you only show him certain chapters? Because you get pretty into what you were doing and how you were doing it, and did he ever at any point go? You know what? Maybe you shouldn't write any more books.
Or did he go, I'm going to write a
I
book
had
now?
to work on him for a year to get him to read it, and then
Really?
yeah, because he didn't want to read. He
Yeah,
was like, no,
I
I don't want to read that. Oh my God. He comes in, he's got notes. Okay. First note is you made an error on the final, like the back page. It has a typo. And then he's like, and here are all the pages I hate.
Wow.
all the page numbers of like the times he was like, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read this.
And you were like,
I
no,
don't
honey, you mistake. I just want you to read it. You're not my editor.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not editing the book. It's done.
So
I was like, I can't take him out.
Right,
I
you
just,
can't. It's
he
done.
was there.
So
Sorry.
silly question without just going into detail. Like, how did you meet your husband? Was it like just like through friends at a work or just without going into detail. I don't
We met online.
Online. Okay,
we
that's
met
cool.
online.
Yeah, see, there you go. See.
Those aren't the details they're talking
No, yeah, I'm not going into details.
That is not the details.
But
we
here's the
were
thing: you
talking
could probably meet you're probably like hundreds of guys online, but this one for whatever reason stood out to you. So yeah, so why him versus the guys you might have just been chatting with before that?
Ted,
so
Ted, if you read the book, you would know.
No, but I don't want to have any preconceived
literally,
notions.
if you read the book, you would know.
But I don't have any preconceived notions. That's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, I'm talking in generalities now. Like, a woman has, here's the bottom line. In the United States, a woman has far more options than guys, because it's a cultural thing. So it's true. It's true. It's the elephant in the room. Women have more options than guys,
That's 100% true.
Yeah.
That is 100%
Now,
true.
if I went to another country, see right here. So women, they're the hot chick here. If I go to another country, I'm the hot chick. See, I'm the hot chick.
That is true.
Yeah.
So Ted spent many months in Nepal.
So say hi to the hot chick.
And
say
in
hi to
Nepal,
the hot chick.
Yeah, because
Kathmandu.
Yeah, Ted was the king of
Kathmandu.
Yeah, Ted was the king of Nepal. All right, so when
I
people
can see that for you.
so when people are trying to flirt, okay, and you've had through your experiences and all the people that you talk to through your for sovereigndating.com, what are some of the best and worst things people do when they're trying to flirt?
The first thing is try too hard. I mean, that's just, it's kind of like the story of the billboard, right? Like if you're just so like pickup lines, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I don't know.
I lost my number. Can I have yours? Stuff like that. What's your zodiac sign? So silly stuff like that, of course.
It's no good. Yeah. That's no good.
Niet.
Yeah.
So don't do that again. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been telling you about that for years.
All right. So what are some good things then?
So definitely you want to draw attention to your interest in the person. That's really the whole key of flirting is like all you're doing is telling the person that you're interested in who they are. And if you're going to enter the conversation, especially for men, I recommend it does tend to be a little gendered in this case because women are like, oh, does this man want to kill me? And men don't have that problem when women approach them.
No, I'm pretty sure most of the women I meet want to kill me. I'm almost 100% sure.
That's true. Yeah, I could back him up on that.
I don't know where you're going. Oh, maybe it's because of it's the way you approch conversation.
Yes,
with
yes.
What's the worst thing I could say?
Hey, I'm just
right
trying
now?
to loosen the room up.
Yeah.
You're like Ronnie Dangerfield.
That might be what's doing it, I have to say. But really, you want to go in gently, especially as a man. So you want to not do like, what's the worst thing I could say now? You want to just mention something like that's the common experience, maybe. So you want to notice like, oh, hey, this band is great or whatever, or I don't know, just whatever's going on in the actual space. You want to draw attention to that. If you're on an online dating app, you'll draw attention to something that's on their profile, so that they know you paid attention to their profile and that you can engage in a thoughtful way about information that they presented about themselves. So it's actually very simple. You just are kind of letting them know like, hey, I see you and I thought you were fun. Like that's just the whole tone of a good flirt. It's nothing more than that. And if it's original and in the moment, it's even better because then that gives them something really easy to tack onto and respond to with.
See, I wish I would have known Matt when I was like in my early 20s.
No, you don't.
Because we could have sent Matt into every bar.
He'd be in jail.
And just waited by the front there. And in 10 minutes, he would have herded every woman right to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we just went through there and just ripped through the bar, and everyone, they would all just came to us.
I feel like I feel like if you were when I was younger, if you were with me, it was great. I would talk, and then they would be like, "Not that guy,
right?
But his friend,
right?
His friend seems
That's
normal."
What I'm talking about,
yeah, and didn't talk about guns and taking people out to the
So you're like a shepherd.
So years ago, before the internet and cell phones and everything. Not that I'm that old, but so I knew a guy, and he was just a ridiculously. Not only was he ridiculously good looking, but he was like, he could dance, he could talk, he was aggressive, and he had the whole, he was like Luger, he was like the total package, like in wrestling, and so, I'd see him in bars and he'd approach women,
Luger.
and they would just, Luther or whatever, or the wrestler, so he would just approach women in bars, I'd see this, and they would just like fall to pieces, but some would just turn him down flat, and it's like, wow, well, you would think that this woman would be so happy that this guy's paying attention, but they would turn him down. So that was kind of my first. That's one of those things I talk about where like you don't know what you're looking at the time, but in hindsight, kind of what now this kind of come full circle now. At the time, you don't know what you're looking at, but now I do know what I'm looking at. So it was interesting that seeing that dynamic.
Well, behavior could be unattractive.
Yeah,
that behavior could have been unattractive to a lot of women.
Sure. But I mean, but at the time, you think, oh, this guy, there's no way you can compete with a guy like this. Yeah, it's like me going out with Brad Pitt or something. It's like, it's like I'm on a dating app. I got Brad Pitt standing next to me, and I'm the guy, but it's me.
It's interesting.
Or in your case, Ryan Reynolds, of course.
So the
or
guy's
Ryan
hot.
Gosling.
Either one of those two.
Ryan
are hot.
Gosling.
We know that.
So how many people are meeting their future significant other online now? Because two of my cousins in the last 4 years have met their spouse and gotten married. It was like within 3 years, and they're siblings too. Within 3 years, my cousin Sarah met her husband on a dating app, and they got married. And then my cousin Brandon, her older brother, same thing. Like a year later, it was crazy.
Yeah, Savannah actually met her boyfriend.
And that's right. And that's what comes up. And then Matt told me the same thing about his daughter met her future husband on an app. So is it like a real big number now, like 30% or 20%? Do they know?
I think we're 20%.
That's crazy.
We're around 20% now. Yeah.
And
but I'm assuming that's going to increase. And now I'm actually getting involved in some AI dating stuff, which I think is really cool.
Chat GPT.
Oh my God.
What?
Chat GPT.
How can you?
How many dating apps are there? Do you happen to know? I don't even know. Like, I mean, I've heard of like eHarmony.
Well,
whatever.
So, I don't know.
Those are companies that existed before apps. I mean, those are like before the internet even sometimes. But so all these apps and all these dating services take a bunch of information from each candidate, right? And just put it in there, and then they match you up. It's all algorithms.
Well, I think that's eHarmony. I think you got to fill out a questionnaire. But I mean, most apps, I think you just go on and just create like a profile, and you could be generic.
The profile, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be a nothing burger, or you could give something extensive. And
the whole point is to give, to be very honest.
I think if people are really interested in finding someone, they're as honest and open,
right?
Without sharing too much. So you know, so you don't have somebody.
Because you're in public, you don't know if you're talking
in front of your house with a rifle.
You don't know if you're talking to like an axe murderer, like you said. You don't want to meet some strange. Because everyone's see with women. The guys are stranger danger, right? So, with like, for example, how do most women meet guys? It's like somebody that you know in the circle. It's like your brother's friend, your girlfriend's cousin. He's safe, but if you meet a guy who's outside your social circle and this guy just kind of drops out of the sky, well, he's stranger danger, right? You don't know if this guy's a mental patient or what. So that's why women have to be more, like you said, more cautious. Like you have, what do you call it? Stuff that's obviously we don't worry about, challenges that we don't worry about necessarily. Yeah, so we have to look at it from your point of view.
Well, here, I'll share something that I read in the book, and I thought this was really wild. You actually met a guy who you didn't know that well, and who took you to a sex club, right? Like where people were actually having sex, and you guys were not in that position in your relationship, right? So
no.
I mean,
and it was
I think
a surprise date,
right?
Say that
so tell us a little bit about that one, because that one that blew my mind.
No, I would think.
Yeah.
So you were set up. You didn't know you were going there.
Yeah, I did not know I was going there. I was not asked if I wanted to go there. I was not told I was going there.
You were taken there.
I was just
you were taken there.
I was taken there. Yeah. I think that story just really illustrates how crazy some people are. And and I'm one of them, because I ended up in that situation, and later, I just go like, how did I become someone who that would happen to, But definitely, just, and this guy was like 22 years old, so who knows, right? Like
he's just a kid.
Insane.
Do you believe in first impressions? Do you believe in first impressions? Are they important?
Well, I had known that man for a year, and I'd been on like 5 dates with him.
But just in general, like if you meet a guy, first impression, is that important? What's your opinion of the first impression? Yeah.
Oh yeah. First impressions. Everybody believes in first impressions, even if they don't know they do.
Right.
Their minds can be changed, but definitely we make snap judgments about people within like less than a second.
I think that's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem with these apps. We make So here's the thing: you might pass up your real soulmate because he was just having a bad day, or maybe this guy's not articulate enough. This may make the guy you may marry to for the next 50 years versus the guy who just puts on the good dog and pony show, and he checks all the boxes. He tells you what you want to hear. It turns out he's a drunk, he's a gambler, he's a bum, he's a philanderer.
Yeah.
Oh, it
so
is.
That's Ted. Leave me out of this.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt.
No, Ted's right. A lot of it has to do with timing and luck. I mean, that's how I met my wife. I mean, I met my wife after a Cubs game. at a bar that I've never been in before, ever. I went to a million Cubs games, and me and my friends always went to the same place for years. And the one time somebody suggests we go here instead of there, I was so pissed. I'm like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not going
He's
there.
like
I'm not
that.
going. I'm not
He is
going.
like that, too.
I'm going where I want to go.
You're very
And
militant.
then-
You're very militant.
And then I ended up, I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go. So I ended up going there, and I met my wife.
Yeah. Did you thank your friends afterwards?
Duffy never lets me forget it.
Okay, good.
He never lets me forget it.
All right, so that's one of the things you talk about. There's a time for a woman to go wild. Is that kind of that thing where they're doing? It's not so much being wild, but doing something that you wouldn't normally do to kind of find some different adventures.
Totally. Because we get so controlling. I don't know. This is at least women. Probably men do this a little bit too, but women just get so controlling. Like about the profile thing. It's like, oh, he's 5'9" instead of 5'10". Like, no, or he doesn't do this, or this is whatever his job title. Like really very, very picky things that is like that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like that's not the stuff that's actually going to lead to whether you have a great relationship or not. And yeah, you got to let go a little bit. You got to stop holding on so tightly. And this, I think, gets back to that desperation thing we were talking about earlier too. Like if you can let go of being like, oh my God, I have to get into a relationship, you're going to have so much more fun dating and then probably get into a relationship faster because you're having more fun. Like that's just one of the rules of attraction too, is like fun is attractive. So if you're able to let loose a little bit, you're probably gonna
I mean it's not life and death. Like I said, it should be fun. It's not. I mean I know it's like it's kind of like a job interview without saying that, but it really shouldn't be, right? It should just be fun. And I know they say men are from Mars, women are from Venus, but I mean you kind of get along with them like they're your friends, and you just have that basically without the elephant in the room is like the reason men join dating apps is because there's a sexual element to it. That's why men join. I mean, we get it. Women want the emotional connection. Guys are looking for the physical connection. Meet in the middle. Yeah. I mean, when I go with my buddies here, like I'm not going on a dating app to meet these guys. Oh, why are you here?
He is not.
Why are you
I
here?
don't know what to say.
Here, so I need to say
Why are
this
you
right
here?
now. Ted and I did not meet on a dating app.
Oh, we met on a softball app.
At no point. But Ted. So Ted brings up an interesting point. Okay, he said women want an emotional connection, men want a sexual connection. I mean, is that real? I mean,
in general, I'm just talking in generalities.
But is it? I mean, there's got to be a thing where I know we put that stigma out that if a woman if she's just like, listen, I don't really like this guy, but he looks like he'd be good in bed. I mean, and then we label them with a label, right? But a guy who meets a woman and then wants to and has sex with her, he gets a different label. That's a more positive thing. I mean, is it a big deal if a woman just says, you know what, I'm not really interested in a relationship type thing. I really just want to find somebody for right now that I really enjoy being physical with. I mean, that's a thing, right? I mean, it's not like it's just a guy thing.
I wouldn't say it's just a guy thing. It's just that it is true that for women, often having a just sex partner would also entail having some kind of emotional relationship, even if it's not like this is my one intimate relationship that I'm hoping will last forever. There usually needs to be at least some kind of like, I can also talk to this man. And that might have to do with the safety thing, like the stranger danger. Like this man actually listens to me. He like hears what I say. He responds to me, positively.
Friends with benefits.
That is important.
Or what's the expression?
Friends with benefits.
Well, I mean that too, but I mean there's labels for everything. But there's Mr. Right, then there's Mr. Right Now, right? Mr. Right Now versus Mr. Right, so to speak. Yeah. So.
I've heard that so many times. All right, so you have two rules that you talk about in your book, and it's funny that you broke one of them with your husband, but a 2-hour first date rule, right? A 2-hour first date rule, and then you said you had a rule that you would go 1 month before you would have sex. Is that like something that people should? Well, I mean, you had it in there, but. I mean, and I know I read the stories and that worked.
So
it didn't
that was
work.
my pre-dating coach rule. To be clear, that was my pre-dating coach rule. Like back when I was trying to date based on like 90s wisdom, which is terrible. No, don't do that. A 1 month and then sleep together rule is silly. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't help anything. it's no good.
Well, I mean, there's
It's
so many.
no
There's so many.
So
silly- there's so
1
many-
hour is really the way to go?
No, I'm just saying there's so many there's so many silly labels out there. I mean, friends with benefit. If a woman sleeps with a lot of guys, she's a slut. If a guy sleeps with a lot of women, he's a stud. None of that is real, you know. So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there's no hard and fast rule. I mean, like if a woman sleeps with a guy after 3 days, doesn't mean she's easy or a slut versus 3 months, and there's no guarantee that they're going to break up versus stay together for the next 30 years. And like, so I agree with that concept. You know, it's on an individual basis that we.
Yeah.
It goes back to my original thesis that we don't really know.
But a lot of this is also regional and cultural. We're just talking about just in America, and we'll stay on that. But even in America, a lot of these connotations and rules and things like that are regional. It's different on the West Coast,
Yeah.
East Coast, Southern, Midwest. I think here in Chicago, I mean, I grew up, I mean, I had a lot of girlfriends, like friends, not anybody I dated. But when I tell my wife this all the time, because I mean, one of my best friend married one of my friends that I grew up with. You know, they're married. And my sister-in-law, I grew up with her. She was like one of my friend's younger sisters. So as a guy, when I was a teenager all through high school, we probably had as many girlfriends as we did guys, and we all hung out together. My wife's from Minnesota. She's like, I never hung out with guys. It was always like the girls going to the malls and do this. I'm like, Kel, I had to go see this movie 5 times, War of the Roses, because all the girls wanted to go. Like all the girls in the neighborhood that we hung out with, you know, if one of them didn't go, then the next day we had to go because she wanted to go. And they were our friends. They were friends. I mean, you know, and then as we get older, you know, they start, you know, seeing other guys and stuff like that. But we never called them names, or we never had negative connotations, because they have a personality and they were almost like sisters to us, you know. So and then, you know, there are some girls that.
Gross.
No, I know it's. Well, you guys didn't have girlfriends like that. When you grew up?
I just don't like the concept where you're like a bunch of girls you dated were your sisters.
No, they weren't.
That's weird.
No, we didn't date them.
I know. I get it. No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
That is weird.
So does that change? I mean, you've been all over the world. I mean, is that a different thing, like in Europe and here, where it's cool where guys can kind of? And I know you talked about in your book where you had a lot of guys that you were friends with that you kind of wanted to make it move forward, and they just stayed in that friend zone no matter how hard you were kind of pushing the other way.
Yeah, it's definitely very different in different cultures. Unfortunately, there aren't hard and fast rules for how to navigate those kind of social dynamics. And when you go in, assuming, right, like I also grew up in a place where it was very normal to have male-female friendships and just like whatever, you
like
know,
hanging out, right?
That is not the case. Actually, I don't know if there are any cultures in Europe where that's been really the case. Maybe Germany is a place I lived in that sort of was in high school time. Maybe I don't know enough to say that for sure. But definitely not, you know, definitely not Romania. Definitely not Romania, or I would guess most of at least Southern Europe. That's not really common. Maybe a little bit more in the Nordic countries.
Wow,
But,
that kind of blows my mind. Now, this is something that stood out to me. You said you at one point you dated a guy, and this is kind of funny that he told you that he had slept with 72 women.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Allegedly.
No, but whatever. But
Allegedly.
whatever. Okay, so let me ask you this: for all the single guys out there, is there any point when you're with a woman, whether you're just starting to be friends or just starting to date, that you should, number one, how would you even count that, number one, but that you should share that information with a woman you're interested in?
You know, I think he had a lot of issues.
I mean, yeah, that's a red flag, right?
Do you want to hear the like fun part of the end of that story?
Yes.
He was
So
euthanized?
it's only funny for me. It's not funny for the other person involved in this. But
Well, that's why it's the funniest. When it's a laugh at someone else's expense, it's always funny. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So it turned out my friend had also been dating him exactly the same way, where it was like he was like, "Don't tell anyone." You know, we were in grad school. He's like, "Don't tell anyone else in our grad school class because we don't want to start any rumors or whatever." She was, you know, my classmate for grad school class.
Oh my god.
And it turned out he told her he had slept with 42 women. So
Oh, wait, so wait, hold on. Do you think he amped it up to
Yeah, he had it
72?
30.
Was he trying to impress you or make you physically ill? Which one do you? I mean, what do you think it was? What do you think it was?
I have been asking myself that same question for years now.
Yeah, so it's obvious he
did
was
it mean?
lying. Yeah.
Sounds like he needed some tetracycline and a test for chlamydia. That's what he needed.
So that is wild. So guys, okay, so let's do this. So is there something when a guy and a girl, a woman's trying to seduce a guy or a guy's trying to seduce a woman, what is something that they absolutely should never do? Like, what's the thing that's like absolute red flag? Woman should run away. A guy, if he hears this, he should run away. What's something that like the worst possible thing that you can do?
I mean, it's so subjective. Like that's again one of those attraction things where like unfortunately not everyone's red flags are the same. I mean, I could just say the obvious ones like he pulls out an axe and tells you he's an axe murderer, Like I don't know, like
Oh yeah,
otherwise
that always seemed like a negative. You know what? I when I was dating, and this is a while back, I always left my axe in the car. I always did.
Your ex or your
you
ex?
could have fooled him.
Both.
I mean,
Now there's just Axe body spray. That's all you really need, right? So,
yeah.
no. But here's the other question. So we've heard the opposite of that question is what does a woman do? What's the subtle things a woman does that she's seducing a guy, but the guys don't pick up? And like we heard this, like if a woman like flips her hair back and kind of touches you gently, that's a major go. I'm not saying you should take advantage of it, but that's when a woman touches you, like lightly, that's a sign that she's into you a little bit. But are there other subtle signs, for example, that that guys don't necessarily pick up on that what women are trying to make inroads with the guys?
Yeah, unfortunately, it comes back to that kind of the gendered thing of like, I'm doing things like as a woman, I'm doing things that I think you should understand. It's like doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Women are much more subtle, unfortunately,
Yeah.
in our communication than men tend to be. So it's really all about engaging. Like it's really about getting permission over and over again, if that makes sense. Where it's like, okay, if she touches your arm, like you make a comment, right? Like you kind of make a suggestive comment or whatever, and then just see like, are you both leaning in? Like it's more of a matter of creating connection than like, say this one thing and she'll jump into bed. Like that's not really how it works.
Sure.
It's much more about perceiving like, oh, did she just look at me like extra long? Okay. Maybe I want to say something funny here, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe I want to say something really engaging. And it's much more about creating the back and forth than like playing a game. It's like really not as much playing a game.
That's what
so
it is.
much
It's a game, but it should be a fun game, but there is a little
Well,
there's a little cat and mouse involved. For example, if you're on a date with a woman and she's got her arms crossed and looking away, that's obviously a bad that's a bad sign, So that we can all pick. Well, maybe not you, Matt, but yeah, that means they're
You're
looking.
just
I
talking-
can't pick up on
they're
any
looking-
obvious things.
It's
They're
all
looking at
about
their watch.
it's all
Is this
about
o-
the
is this-
moment,
is
right?
this over yet?
It's all about the moment
Right.
and reacting
but
in the moment.
I mean, for example, people who are neurodivergent, like they may not be comfortable looking at you in the eyes or something, or there are cultural reasons why people don't look in their eyes. So it's it's again, there's so many nuances to like what does it mean when they do such and such behavior,
Right.
Like.
So maybe we shouldn't read too much into that because, like I said, everybody's different, and we can't assume that just because your comfort level might be different than someone else's comfort level. So
Totally.
So there you go.
That's why it's called a game.
Well, here they had a study, right, and they talked about people going out and kind of getting together, and they women said that they were kind of thinking about when they met a guy that the etiquette part. He's attentive, he's polite, he's kind.
Yeah.
This is what men said. Men said when they're going out with people, they like flirting, holding hands, and you ready? Drinking.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That seems like the complete opposite of what may.
No, it's that thing. So if a woman goes in knowing ahead of time that this is the way guys think, I mean, 90% of the guys can they kind of look through some of that kind of stupid things that guys do?
I mean, do you want to get drunk on a date? Do you want to get drunk on your
No,
first
of course
date?
I don't think you want to get drunk on a first date. But if women are going in, if they're reading your book and they're going in and they're understanding the things that are happening, can they look past some of the nervous or stupid things that guys do? And kind of like make that move and say, hey, I do want to go on a second date kind of thing. Is it possible to look past that guy's dumb shitness?
Yeah.
I think sometimes, yeah, that's how a lot of relationships happened, I'm sure. um, but this attraction question, like, and again, the first impression question, like, at the beginning of a relationship, you have so little information that every little piece of information you get matters a ton. So that's where that like first impression, first date stuff gets to be really intense because people do make really intense judgments about who that person is and what they're about just based on that. And so it really depends on like the emotional maturity of the woman, right? Or whoever is the perceiving person of the anxiety on the date. Like can they handle that much like, weirdness from a guy for lack of a better word, right? It's like or is it just too much of a turnoff and they never want to see them again? Like that's also a totally valid response.
I feel like a woman has to have a weirdness level, right? Because all guys have a serious
guys.
Yeah, we all have a serious mental flaw. I mean, let's be 100% honest. We have a serious mental flaw. Here, I'll give you an example. In all the people that you've talked to and all that kind of stuff. How many women have ever said? And this is funny. How many women have ever told you that some guy sent a picture of his junk and thought that he was seducing her?
Not a single one.
Oh, thank God. See, this is my thing. I always think, this is what I think. After you see stuff, I always think that a guy, like all the things that run through a guy's head, that's a really good idea. The problem is his buddies are like, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Was it like a caveman or something?
Yeah, you know what? No, I think, take her to a really dark alley. Chicks love dark alleys. And then right after that, send her a picture of your junk, man. Yeah. She'll know you're definitely into her. Yeah.
That's like the construction worker. That's like the construction worker who whistles at the woman walking by. Has that ever worked in the history of ever? Like, hey, like the cat call. That never works, right? So, honking the horn. I mean, maybe in the 1970s.
All right, so let me ask you. I'm going to ask you one last question, and I love this. I thought of this, and it's really interesting to me. So after you wrote the book, okay, was there a time when you were actually afraid that no human being would read that book? I mean, when you wrote it, you're just like, this is really good. And I thought the book was really, really good.
It is really good.
Yeah. But was there a time when you're just like, listen, I'm going to go to my neighborhood bookstore and I'm going to see my book stuffed under the front door, holding the door open, and that people wouldn't read that? Did you ever have that fear?
No, it was more like, shit, my dad will read this.
Oh, that's a good fear, yeah.
See, that's what I was thinking
too.
But
your dad went on a date at some point to meet your mom at some point. So so he went. I mean, it's a different period of time, but the point is, it's the same concept. I mean, nothing exists in a vacuum. So I mean,
so when he read it, what did he say?
He didn't say anything. Don't worry.
No, really. But your folks read it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good. That's
yeah.
nice.
And my mom was like, "Oh my God, this was terrifying for me."
Yeah.
Wow.
But
that's cool.
But,
So did at any point did your folks share any? I mean, I don't want to say details, but did your mom be like? Was your mom just like, you know what? Yeah, that shit's real, man. That is real. I know what you went through.
Yeah. No, definitely. She was like, I mean, my first thought is like, I'm glad you survived all of that, and I'm really upset it happened, and I'm really angry about it. And then she was also like, and I was also really sad about how relatable most of it was. So
see, that's good. That's a great outcome.
Double-edged sword for her.
Yeah, I mean, you put yourself out there, you're being honest, and then you find out
people appreciate that.
So many people can relate to almost every other story in your book and experience. It's just like it's universal. But you were brave enough to put it out there, and yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic.
But it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't bad. I know we talked about the sex club thing, but a lot of it was just relationships that you thought were going in one direction that never that came around to that direction you want. I mean, here, let me ask you. Okay, one more. Do people have to go through bad relationships to find good relationships? Do they have to see what they don't want so that they know what they want?
No. There are plenty of people who married their childhood sweethearts and they're doing fine. It's just harder. I mean, like it's hard because this is what the research says. When you're young, your focus is on, like, biologically, your focus is on mating. It's not on having a great relationship. And so, like, most people who have young relationships, like teens and 20s, even into your 30s, is kind of like, everybody's winging it, and it's not pretty, it's not elegant. Like, people are putting all their trauma on the other person, projecting all over the place, like fighting, drama. It's just drama. And then later you kind of calm down just as of the virtue of age, right? It's like you just become a little bit less intense, volatile.
Yeah.
And also you have less of that urge to mate with everyone you see, and so there's just so much
that stops?
less relationship tension.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop, but it tones down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because we
just
go out, we still see
relaxes.
people, and I'm just like, oh my god. I mean, I want to tell this guy, I'm like, dude, you're literally humping that chick's leg in public. That is a wrong thing to do. Yeah, that is so bad. All right, Alana, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thank you for
yeah,
coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, your book is The Art of Feminine Seduction, is something everybody should read.
Yeah, thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, it was really
Thank
cool,
you.
and
Thanks
that
for having me.
kind of journey through your life is really neat, and I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to, like what you said, your mom said, you know, like it was sad, it was terrible. I'm glad you made it through, and yeah, that's called being a woman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that really is the deal.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for having me.
Thank
and
you.
All
see you
right,
next time.
All right.
take care.
Best wishes. Take care.
See you later. Bye. Oh man, that was awesome. She is as cool as I knew she would
Yeah.
be from reading that book. Honestly, that is really neat. Wow, I mean, it's hard to get. You know what? I think guys don't get enough like female perspective of what we look like through their eyes.
I thought when Matt's saying, I thought that Matt was that you were thinking it was written for men.
I
He
think
made that comment, but it's definitely written for women because I made that you know, when you read the cover of the book, you're like, there's no guy's going to pick this up, but they should.
But
It's
you know,
actually good.
but you know what? That's a great comment you just made. I think as a guy, you have to try to look at things through the woman's lens. You know how a woman perceives you.
Yeah, oh,
like
yeah.
for example, if I was a woman, and I was trying to picture myself, I was a woman going on a date with a guy, and the guy, you know, he has
I
bad,
just threw up in my mouth.
he
just
has
so you
bad
know.
teeth. He smells, or he's, you know, something where it's like, just from a physical standpoint, I mean, if I can't even visualize myself as a woman like getting close to this guy, if he physically disgusts me, I mean, I can't go any
I think
further
that's
than
an
that.
extreme.
It's extreme, but obviously I'm giving an
That's an
extreme example.
No, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
if you read through all the things that she went through, right? And you did not, Ted. But
I will.
Yeah, all her. Yeah, no, you're not. You
Yeah,
will
well,
never.
I'll bet you $1. You have the book now? Where is it?
I'll bet you're on to golf.
Okay, sure.
What do you mean? Where is it? I sent it to you 2 weeks ago.
Okay, I'll
You
read
have-
it. I'll
you
read-
have
I'll read
a
it.
digital copy of
I
that
will
book.
read it. I will read it.
You will never read
We're
that
going to make
book.
him buy it, though.
Yeah, we're gonna make him buy it.
I'm gonna buy
but
it.
but no, I think if a guy if a guy really and she has a lot of good ideas. Listen, if you're really out there trying to seduce a woman, and I'm not talking about trying to get her in bed.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
not the concept behind
Yeah,
this.
again,
But if you're
exactly.
trying to get a woman to like you,
Yeah.
then
To
ultimately
think about
love you,
to think about you,
and-
yeah,
and- to think about you.
Just think about you,
To
'cause
think about
that's
you.
half the battle right there.
Right,
You know?
right. I think it's reading about her different stories. I think is really cool because there was a lot of there's some positive. I'm going to say some. There was some positive, right? There was a lot of negative, and you
as,
can
as, there,
easily
as there should be.
yeah,
as there
but
should be.
you can easily see the things that the guys that she was around did, and you can say like that's fucking crazy. I would never do that in 1,000 years, but guys did this.
Yeah, but it's funny. You could use that as a cautionary tale for what not to do. So actually, sometimes reading
Right.
those tales, the negative part is like, well, as a guy, we think, well, I would never do that, and maybe you wouldn't, but maybe there'd be something that is questionable, and the guy did it, and it turned out negative. But like I said, with one woman, it might be a positive. With another woman, it might be a negative. It just depends on the woman's perception of you.
That's true.
I'm not saying be a pig, but I'm just saying like.
But
things,
don't take
you know,
like on a third date. I think I think it was a third date or a fifth date. I don't remember what it was. Don't take a girl to a sex club
Yeah,
where
I mean,
people are actually
obviously that's-
physically having
yeah,
sex.
obviously that's
But
extreme.
you know
yeah,
what?
that's-
She is lucky in one regard, and it's retrospectively. She can look back now and say she had a really interesting dating life.
She did.
And she went through. I mean, not a lot of people can say that. I can't. I mean, I dated a lot of girls, but I got married. I mean, I met my wife early, so my dating was basically primarily end of high school and college, and that was it.
right.
That was it. And
See, yeah, and I would think at some point, and I know guys who with their high school sweetheart, and then it worked and it didn't work and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do kind of think that sometimes you have to see the bad end of it to see the good end of it.
yeah, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's all
Well, not
it's
everything.
all relative.
Not everything.
Some people
not
maybe,
everything
some
could be
people
positive.
not.
Yeah, not everything could be positive. I mean, yeah, okay. Is there dumb luck where the first person you meet I was just reading this the other day. This is a real thing. So they were talking about people who broke up with their, like on that Board Panda or BuzzFeed. I read that sometimes.
Yeah.
So people like they broke up with their spouses. Let's say their spouses cheated on them or they treated them badly. Like the article was like, what was the breaking point that made you divorce your spouse, and whatever their particular story was. And then literally the next person they met, I just met my soulmate. I'm like, really? So out of the 7 billion people in this world, you broke up with this guy or girl, and literally the next person you met is your soulmate. I mean, what are the odds of that?
I think that's just a catchphrase. I mean, it's a person that,
Isn't that like finding a needle in a haystack?
Yeah. I mean, if you have some trauma, right, you're looking for someone who can kind of, ease that trauma.
Yeah. So that's your perception.
Probably the opposite of the guy you were with, or the girl you were with. So
in your mind, you're vulnerable. So now that this person, just because they're not as bad as this person, you perceive them as maybe being more heroic than they really are. Not that they're not a bad person, but the point is, literally the next person you met is your soulmate. I mean, I think I saw that common theme in about 3 out of the 10 stories I met, and I question the validity of that.
Well, okay, how about the woman that poisoned her husband in Utah? Okay, so let's say
allegedly.
Okay, so let's say he lives. Let's say he lived through this, right?
For the third time. For the third
author?
time, yeah. The children's book author.
Yeah. So let's say she poisons him, but he lives through it.
Yeah.
Literally, the next woman he meets is got to be a soulmate. Yeah. As long as she doesn't try to murder him, I mean, she's got to be the best person
because she just used she used pesticide in his coffee instead of fentanyl, so she's okay now.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it's it's that kind of level, right?
Yeah.
Like and that's one of the things I wanted to ask Alana was, how do you know when to kind of like move forward or cut bait?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're not married. You're kind of moving. You're getting ready. Yeah. I mean, how do you know? Which I guess is she's probably going to say is subjective, right? Yeah. To when you're doing it, but I mean, there's got to be some signs that if it's not positive, then move on. I mean,
but sometimes you get comfortable.
There's 7 billion. But you said it. There's 7 billion people on the earth.
Probably 8 billion now.
Okay,
yeah,
there's 8 billion. Right, like right now, just
right this second.
We're there.
No, 8. Okay, yeah. But I mean, honestly, if there's a sign, it's probably a bad sign, right? If there's something to go, you know what? It's funny that the guy's got a sharpening tool and 17 machetes. Yeah,
I don't think it's But here's an example. So I was watching this like show years ago. It was like couples. I can't remember the theme of it. It was like couples who met and they got together and blah blah blah. So it was like they featured this one couple. It was like one of those brother sister looking couples. Like they weren't related, but the guy and the woman kind of looked very similar. And they they completed.
Let's get away from that.
They completed each other's sentences, all that good stuff. Soulmates,
no sister
stuff. Yeah, whatever. So the point is, they moved in together. They never had any kids, but they lived together for 2 years. And it's like, oh yeah, they're going to get married and live together for 30 years. And they broke up, but they got along. They showed whatever they showed on the show. They got along swimmingly with everything, and they didn't make it.
You mean like Bachelorette?
I mean, it wasn't Bachelorette, but it was something similar. I can't remember what the theme of the show was, but the point is, this couple looked like they checked all the boxes, and it looked like a guaranteed thing, and it wasn't guaranteed at all. So that's my point. There are no guarantees.
So that is literally Depp versus Heard. I just watched that on Netflix. I watched about 20 minutes of it. Yeah, it's all you can. It's all you can stomach.
Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah, it's all you can stomach before you're just like, what the fuck?
Have you guys?
Happening?
You guys have both seen the movie When Harry Met Sally, right?
Oh,
yeah,
man,
we've seen
great
that
movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Great.
It's been
one
years,
of my all-time
That came out in
favorites.
the
Love
80s?
Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like 89 or something like that. But what's really cool about that movie is, if you remember, they're always showing these older couples, talking about the relationships and how they met, and and there's like, I don't know, this happens like 6 or 7 times throughout the movie, right? Yeah. It segues between, I think that's really cool. Some of those stories, obviously they're actors and it's a movie, but I mean that's kind of what we're talking about. It's like there is no, I mean, it's just shit happens.
Look at the real life example. Tom Brady's divorced. Brad Pitt's divorced. I mean, ridiculously good looking guys with all the money in the world. And they're divorced.
Yeah,
I mean,
but look at
somebody
Paul
divorced
Newman and his wife.
Yeah,
they
met, or David Beckham. I
they
think
met on a set of a movie and they were married until he died.
David Beckham is still married to the same woman, that Victoria Spice girl, whatever. Yeah. They were married like 20. Yeah, so I'm just saying there's sex stories, but I'm saying there's stories where it's like, I mean, all the stars line up. It's like, who's going to divorce Brad Pitt? Obviously, somebody did, right?
Not me. No way, man.
Would you divorce Ryan Reynolds?
She's nuts.
Listen, if Ryan Reynolds picks me, he has me for life. Yeah.
You're gonna Ryan Reynolds tramp stand.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot happening right there that I don't want to unpack.
Okay.
But I'm telling you right now.
Well, there'll be a package, all right.
Ryan, if you'd like a forever relationship, I am available. Yeah. Yeah, I am definitely available. All right. Man, I tell you what, I missed having guests on. I really do. I love talking to new people, and Alana. Do you know what the coolest part of Alana was? I like, hey, do you want to, because we're talking about art of feminine seduction, and we're talking about that kind of stuff. And I said, listen, if you want to give me a call, and we can kind of talk and everything. She goes, nope, I want to go in blind.
Did she listen to the show?
She listened to the show.
like
Which,
that.
Do you know what show? I'm always curious at what show.
Well, there's 80 something to choose from.
Yeah.
I know, that's
she's
what
like,
I'm saying. I'm always
she's
curious,
like, I love what you guys are doing, and whatever happens.
Appreciate that.
And I literally told her multiple times that Ted would never read the book, and he would ask crazy questions, and I go, most of what he's going to say isn't a question, and you'll have to somehow answer a statement.
But no,
she's like, no problem.
But no disrespect. I'd rather not have any preconceived notions. And
that's ridiculous.
And
her book was really good.
But I'm going to read it after the fact because now I'm curious. I have it. You sent it to me. I'm going to read it because I want to know.
So I'm throwing this out there for all of our listeners. I would like you to just send in on any social media platform, whatever, whether you think Ted will actually read the book or not, and we will follow up.
I'm going to do it.
When's the last book you read? Thank you. Okay, moving on. All right.
Where the Wild Things Are? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that was fifth grade, Ted. I'm pretty sure it was fifth grade. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Mark, your favorite?
Is it that time already?
It is that time already, man. It is that
Seriously?
time.
Where are we at? 5,300 seconds, Ted.
5,400.
I still don't know how many minutes that is.
What? That's a lot of minutes.
I know.
That's
I'm not going to use a calculator.
It's like 1 minute or 1 hour.
It's over 130
30 minutes. Yeah. All right.
So you want some of my final thoughts?
I would like.
Okay,
we'll start with you and go to Mr. Poison right after.
I wish, a part of me would like to talk more about personal things.
That were like your personal things.
Yeah, I mean, this was a really interesting episode, and so
and we can have a discussion off the air.
No, I know that, but I don't like to share that with in general. But your mind starts running when she's talking about certain things and about dating and meeting people and stuff like that. We all have our own experiences and our own opinions, but I don't like to share that because it's kind of special to me. But so my final thought is, I wish I could. I mean, part of me wishes I could throw that out there, but I know I don't want to, because it's really, I don't know. It's interesting to talk about, and she put it all out there, man.
All of it, man.
I know, and I'm like, that's so brave. It's not like me. I mean, it's not. I don't think I'm a coward because I don't do it. I have my own personal reasons. I just think that the more you share, the less it, it kind of lessens the importance or the specialness to you. You know what I mean? It's hard to
share.
No, I could see that.
So,
there's things.
There's things that are special to me, and the more you share
keep it close to the
less
vest.
special they become.
Of course.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I really enjoy meeting people like her that can throw it out there because it's so interesting and not just entertaining but interesting too. And it's like, oh, cool, But that's really brave people that she could write a book like that. It's very knowledgeable and it's also personal. Remember what we talked about last week? I'm like, it's personal.
Yeah. No, listen.
But if she's smart, I mean, she did her
and one of the things she talks about, and we didn't get into that, but it's not just like seducing people, like new people, but it's doing the seduction part with people that are still in your life and your relationships that you have. And I would tell you this: whether you're in a relationship, you're not in a relationship, you're starting one, it's a good book to read to kind of get a gauge as, are you building the relationships you're in? Are you moving them forward? Are you not? If there's not, why not? And then, how you want to deal with things.
And the psychological part of it, like what you're alluding to.
Yeah.
Like when she talks about the physical aspect, of feminine, it's all the body, masculinity, it's all in the head.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, she's right.
Well, I mean, think about it. What's the most central muscle in the erogenous zone in your brain, right? So, I mean, this is kind of a crude example, but why can a guy have a wet dream? Think about it. You just ejaculated without touching yourself at all. No, I'm serious. You just ejaculated without touching yourself at all. That's just in your head. I mean, if I asked you to ejaculate right now, Mark, 5 minutes, you got to ejaculate right now for $100.
Mark,
$1,000.
Mark, I will give you 100. Whatever he offers you, I will give you 100 more to not do whatever he says.
Exactly, that's my point. So the erogenous
$200,
zone.
I'm starting to tingle down there.
Yeah, no, but
Let's make it 500.
But here's the funny thing: without making it weird, Alana is she's, and this is the thing the thing that freaks me out, because I saw her picture, right? Or if you get online and you go to sovereigndating.com or you go to the Art of Feminine Seduction, you'll see her in her book, whatever. And she's a very pretty girl. It's strange to me that there's that there were people that were that I don't know. I guess it's weird to me that people wouldn't say. I don't know. I think people need to be nicer to each other.
Well, that's just
in general.
that's a cultural
Yeah.
thing.
In general.
It's a
Yeah.
cultural thing,
Yeah.
like what she was saying.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you can say nice things to people and make them feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
If you feel that way, if you feel that way, right?
Or just don't say,
without making it weird
if you
at
don't have
all.
anything- Well, if you don't have anything good to
But-
say, don't say anything at all.
Right. But I think there's lots of ways you can do that. I mean, if you're out, if you're a single guy and you're out there somewhere, there's nothing wrong with walking up to a woman and saying, "Hey, you know what? I think you're very attractive. I do what," and kind of doing that. Like how did we get away from that? Like how is that a thing? Now, if you make it just like a physical thing, like if you're making comments about certain body parts and that kind of thing. Yeah, you're a fucking moron, and you're not gonna, if you tell somebody, I think you're hot and I slept with 72 women. Yeah, I feel like
let's round it up to 80.
Yeah.
Let's just round it up to 80.
That's not what I heard.
Yeah.
My friend said you said 42.
Let's just split the difference.
Isn't
and
that
make
a
it
great
even
story?
60.
That's what I mean.
I'm going to ramp this up 30. I think she'll be more impressed with 72. She's okay with the 42.
And that's what makes this book so really cool is she gives you everything. I mean, she leaves nothing out, like her feelings and her everything
All right,
during
don't
all
ruin it
these
for me, 'cause
things.
I'm going to read it now because
right?
you piqued my curiosity. I'm going to read it.
You're
So
just not going to. But guys, she's totally into that. Just completely ignore that she tries and tries and tries and doesn't get, and then guys that want different things and she wants something and it works, and then it just turns out to not be.
Or what about the opposite? What about a guy who might be into her, not her per se, but a guy who's into a woman and they don't reciprocate at all? You love them, they don't love you back. Kind of like your golf game, Mark. You love it and it doesn't love you back.
If I could write a book, if I could only write a book.
Oh man, you know what, Ted? That's the book I want you to write. My journey in golf.
He'd spell it with a U.
My journey in Gulf. My
Gulf.
journey in the Gulf of California.
GOLFE.
Yeah,
With a little.
dude, that would be so awesome. All right, Teddy, last thoughts because we got way away from
I
this.
thoroughly enjoyed this episode, gentlemen. And my last thought is, Amanda, good luck on your journey.
Her name is Alana.
Alana? No, not. I'm talking about the
Amanda,
tip.
the
The
tip.
tip.
And by the way,
yeah.
you called the tip person Alana.
No, he said
Did I?
Amanda.
At
He said
the
Amanda.
beginning of the
Yeah,
show, you said
Amanda.
Okay.
He said
I
Amanda.
could've.
Anyway, so
I
long
could've.
story short, Amanda, good luck on your journey, but just remember with great power comes great responsibility, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
See, and then, so I wrote this down, and somewhere in here, because I was watching Spider-Man, I wrote down.
Which one?
No, I don't know
Toby.
any one of them. I wrote down, with great idiocy comes great irresponsibility. I thought that when I was reading that, I just thought of that. So that is what I'm going to leave you with. All right. We will see everybody next week. We've got some great guests coming up. We have got Robert Walters from the American Independent Party of California. Dude, we are going to have so much fun talking to him. I'm talking to a fellow from the Green Party, and so we're going to have him on, and he's just kind of we're setting this up and talking about presidents and talking about different parties and that kind of stuff. And we've got some really other neat stuff coming up that you guys will enjoy. Have fun, and we will see you everybody next week.